Hi everyone, my name is Discourse and welcome to another unboxing for the Batman miniatures game. Today we're going to be running through the Batman Year 1 model, as well as Gordon from Year 1 and Flass from Year 1 as well. So I'm going to go through those, I'm going to give you my thoughts on those models, as well as the stats and unit cards and things like that. But before we do, we're going to look at these. So let's move this all to one side. You can see this generic packaging hides some suspect markers, which I received in the same bundle as the Year 1 models there. I've had these sitting for a while, but I've just been so busy, haven't got around to opening them. I'm really curious to see them, so I picked these up. These are about £13 directly from Night Models, and one of them holds Batman suspect markers, and one of them holds Joker suspect markers. So let's just choose one at random, and we'll see what we have inside. So the thing about these is they're very premium, okay? So whenever you buy the starter box, you'll get lots of sort of token card suspect markers, but these, as you can see, are sort of plastic suspect markers there. So these are Batman ones, I believe, if I can get it in focus. Yep, so you can see the little batarang there and the foot mark. So let's just empty this all out onto the board and we'll see what we're dealing with here. Okay, so we have, this is what the default sort of suspect marker looks like there. We have this one here with a hat, and this is more for a snitch marker, which is what the snitch cards basically drop down. You can see there is 1, 2, and I believe there's 3, because there's 3 snitch cards in the Batman deck. So these are straight resin. These are basically made out of the same material as all the other models are. You see this little token here. So there's nothing super fancy about them. They're sort of premium product though, right? Like you don't need this necessarily. If you've got little tokens that are around this size, then basically you have everything you need. I can see here there's a little radio as well. So these are the Batman themed ones. I'm just gonna move those all to one side. And then we're gonna open this box. And this is the Joker one. So this will be very useful for you if you haven't picked up the starter box, you haven't really had the need to, you've picked it up in the past, but you just want to sort of buy a little premium item here. You can see here, this is Joker teeth. I'm trying to get it into focus. Yeah, this is Joker teeth here. Okay, and then we have the So Long It's Been a Gas suspect marker, I believe, no, this is an event marker actually. This is for a resource component where you've got Joker gas. And then of course here is the Stinky Fish. So you can see these all come obviously unpainted, and there's a little bit of flash around some of them. There's a little bit of flash around some of the Batman models as well, but the Batman suspect markers. Here is another suspect marker, and this looks to be like the generic suspect marker style, just with the Joker card there. It's unpainted. Now this plastic here, this resin is sort of raised a little bit, so it won't be too hard to paint, I hope, because I'm gonna have a tough time painting them. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be using these during the battle reports and things like that. Just move them all to one side, just because they'll be able to get a lot brighter, you know? And we haven't seen any aside from Joker and Batman yet, but let's see if we get them in the future. I would love to see more premium items like this, more customization that you can pick up. Although what I would love is honestly just a token pack to be sold that was just plain cardboard, honestly. I think that would be pretty good, rather than the sort of more premium items. But, I understand their business model is to try and sell those resin packs instead and get you into the starter box if you haven't already. Next up, we're going to look at Gordon and Flass. So this box, it contains the 2 models, and it's kind of pricey. I bought it for around £26, I think. So it is pretty pricey, but you do get 2 models in it. Now, let's see if we get unit cards, because I think this is right. And no, we don't, it looks like. So we just get the resin models, which is a bit disappointing, and it's going to make reviewing these a little bit harder. But that's okay. I suspected that this would be the case. So we've got 2 models here, Gordon and Flass, and here is Gordon. And he is coming in one big piece, it looks like. Now, there is a little bit of flash. I was going to say Flass. There's a little bit of flash in between his arms and on his head there. You can see there's a big tag. But this is him all the way over. So it's a nice pose. It's a very heroic pose. Okay, so you should see the unit card for Gordon flash up onto your screen now. And the thing about Gordon is that he is 46 reputation and $200, so he's relatively expensive, but he brings coordination, which is a special rule, and that is great with cops, because you can see it can let him use that on cops with the keyword. And basically that lets him sort of then get off another suspect marker maybe, or to get off an arrest, or even a shot. So if you use it with maybe someone like Larita, who's also a cop, they can get off a shot with their really amazing gun. So very interesting there. I really like him. He has incorruptible, which is sort of a counter against one of the Flass keywords, which we'll go over whenever we go through him. But I really like this Gordon. I really like him. I really like the year one sort of models in general. I like the idea of returning to year one and looking at some of those. And I'm kind of hoping that we get some long Halloween models soon, although with the recent release of Black Mask, it doesn't seem likely. Next up, we have Flass here, you can see. So he's in two parts. He's on the one sprue. There's quite a lot of little tags coming off him there. You can see his face. So he's wearing sort of like a high school jacket and a pair of jeans, and he has a little bit of grass and soil here. And this is obviously the pose with him where he's got the baseball bat here. So you can see there's the baseball bat, and there's the back of him, and it's got Gotham High written on the back. Very good. So it is a high school one, of course, because he didn't get through college. So I really like Flass. Flass is, he's got a really nice sort of ability, which is Corrupt, right? And this is the first time we'd seen it when we saw the Flass unit card. Corrupt is really awesome. It lets him basically come into an organized crime crew and bring a couple of cops with him, which is super thematic, because obviously Flass is a sort of a crooked cop, right? So Corrupt is really good, and it's fun is the main thing, I think, and it can really help organize crime out when they have a couple of cops, because they've got quite a lot of models that really do want to beat people up and KO them, and cops can arrest them, and arrest is such a good keyword for just making casualties of them. Though obviously now Falcone can also bring the Corrupt keyword using, he has an equipment item now. So Flass sort of isn't as special or unique as he once was. But that's actually no problem in my opinion, because Flass is a really good model. I think he's only around 41 reputation, but he brings a lot of the same keywords as Bullock, and Bullock is one of the strongest henchmen in the game. So he's got evidence tampering, which is absolutely excellent, and Flass brings a little bit more sort of fighting capacity. So that's great. I think Flass is a great model just by himself. Very interesting one. He's basically just a more fighty Bullock. Though obviously he's missing the 3-point card. That makes Bullock absolutely amazing. So that's those two models. A little bit pricey, I think, for £26 just for the two models, but you know, you're getting quite a lot of points. You know, 46 and 41 reputation, so it's not the worst thing in the world. Then obviously they both come on the small bases. They're very interesting models. I don't think that they're sort of required at all. If you're looking to play a Batman crew, I wouldn't call these sort of necessary at all. These are just fun additions. Definitely something to maybe think about expanding your crew with. I think Flass in particular, if you're thinking about an organized crime list and maybe you're not as interested in Falcone, but you are interested in someone like Black Mask, Flass is someone to think about, especially if you've got some cops lying around and you want to play with them. So put them to one side then. All right, and now we'll look at Batman Year 1. So he was £16, I believe, which isn't too bad. So this version of Batman is a leader, and you can see him here on the back. And you can see it says download the character card on nightmodels.com. So you can actually get the character card, and you should see it come up on your screen at some stage during this unboxing. So we're going to open it up, and so this was a promotion that Night Models had ran when this model first released, which was basically if you ordered within the first 200, I believe it was, you would get some additional cards. So these are the cards that never came in the starter box, in the old starter box. These are new cards that were released in the newer starter box. And so if you were, if you'd only bought the older starter box, you never got these cards. This is how you got them. You had to be one of the first people to order Batman Year 1. So there's a Joker card and a set of Batman cards as well. I haven't actually had an opportunity to play with these yet, but Joker got another 3-pointer, so I'm all about that life. But here we go. Set these up here so we can see the base. He's on a bigger base, 40mm, and let's pull everything out. Let's see what we're working with here. Okay, so this is the rubble that he will be standing on there. You can see it's nice and sort of 3D. And then here is the model itself. So It's a very, very interesting sculpt, I think. That he's got like the cloak over one shoulder there, and then he's standing sort of stock still. So he's kind of standing up. It's like he's rising from the ashes, from the sort of broken down tenement flat that's been blown up by Brad, I believe it is, and the SWAT team. He's kind of pinched his cloak there. So you can see he's in one piece there, and then you've got a sort of his arm is draped in the other half of his cape, and then you have his leg there. So we'll look at him in the back. This back piece in particular looks like it will take really well to contrast paint, so I'm actually looking forward to painting that. I think the thing about this model is that it's sort of very classic Batman. It's not very armored at all, and I'm a really big fan of that version of Batman. I really like the sort of more realistic, but still unarmored, like not too much armor, not too tactically minded Batman. So I'm a really big fan of that. In terms of the actual stats for him, the unit cards should flash up now. So he's 16 pounds, but he's 121 reputation, so he's very expensive rep-wise. So 16 pounds is getting you a leader. That's actually a very good price for a leader model. Typically for the larger base models, you're going to get them at around 32 pounds. Obviously, they can come with 60mm base. And Batman has a very specific sort of rule, which is Shadow's Agent, which basically means that whenever he's taken as a boss of a crew, he can't actually be the boss, someone else has to be. So you're not really getting a leader out of this, you're just getting a very expensive model, but that's fine. The very expensive model suits perfectly well for the Batman crew. So the thing about him is that he can be taken with Gordon then, basically. So you can take Gordon, Gordon is a leader, and Gordon can be made the boss of your crew. And that is very good because previously what was happening is that Gordon wouldn't be able to give Inspire to cops around him if you'd taken Batman, just because Batman would have to be your boss. So this kind of model gets around that. I'm a really big fan of that because we always played it. We basically sort of home ruled, house ruled it, that Gordon would always give Inspire to cops. And I really feel like that was something that maybe should have been added to Gordon, but this is a really nice model to take if you're looking to have a more GCPD inspired list with just a little bit of assistance from Batman. I think it works. I think it's far more thematic, right? So he is basically, he comes with all the classic Batman stuff, all the general keywords like detective and things like that, but he doesn't come with bad armor. And that's actually a really big deal, okay? So because he has defense 5, but because he doesn't have bat armor, it means he's super exposed to gunfire if he's just left out in the lurch, especially because he doesn't have bat grapple either. So usually Batman relies on the bat grapple to sort of get out of dodge and also to close in on opponents and stealth and things like that. So he's going to be far more grounded, I would say, in terms of a bat model. There's no sort of flying across the map with this one. He's going to have to keep to the alleyways, run through the streets, and punch people in the back of the head that way. So that's pretty sad, but he does have Bat Beacon, which allows him to teleport 4 inches if it's placed on top of him. So you can use that to ascend vertically, right? Because you can basically move 4 inches just as the crow flies. So you can just be placed on top of a building, and that's pretty great. So in that way, you can kind of keep him safe. But like, as I said, if you put him out in front of a lot of guns or even just in the open, then he's going to get gunned down at the first opportunity because Defense 5 is amazing, but gunfire will still take him down without that armor. Now he has a keyword, Vigilante's Work, which is just busted in my opinion. It's very much a keyword that is designed for 3rd edition. He takes an effort and he can place down a suspect marker. And I've heard people say that they're playing this as if you can take up to 3 effort to place down 3 suspect markers. I think that's too much. I think that's kind of broken. I actually think it works perfectly fine as just a single suspect marker for 1 effort each turn. But I have to sort of look into that and see how it plays in practice and see how everyone else is playing it. But yeah, that's pretty crazy, and it's one of the main reasons why you're going to want to bring this model, right? Because it really plays around suspect markers. And 3rd edition is so much into suspect markers, whereas the previous Batmans were like, I'm going to punch these guys. That's what they were really focused on, just knocking out your opponents. But suspect markers are so important, and that's what makes cops so good in Batman crews these days. So with this Batman, it means that you can play with the suspect markers just like cops. You can mess around with those and really get a lot of value. Remember that the Batman cards, a lot of them are all about revealing suspect markers of your opponent. So using Vigilante's Work will allow you to reveal a lot of enemy suspect markers and score therefore a fair amount of cards throughout the game. Now finally, he does have a blowgun. I would be remiss if I do not mention this. He has a blowgun, which is only 1 rate of fire, but it does have paralyze on it. What that does is it negates the defense of the opponent that's hit by it. So if you shoot a model of your blowgun, then their defense goes down by 2 and they cannot make any actions this turn. That is absolutely nuts. So if you can get this model, he's not very mobile, but he's pretty mobile. mobile, but compared to other Batman, he's not that mobile. If you can get him moved into a position where he can shoot his blowgun off and actually, hit the boss or an emulator, wow, you're really setting up the rest of your models for that turn. So that's really the big swing that this model brings, I think. Vigilante's work and the blowgun for paralyzing. Absolutely excellent. I can't wait to see this model in play. I think this model is a very advanced version of Batman, right? So some of the other Batman that we've seen, they really do just work very well. As they do what they say on the tin, right? You can just grapple in, knock out the Joker. There you go, Bob's your uncle. That's Batman. But with this model, you're going to have to be really careful, very precise, almost surgical with how you use him. He can't afford to be left in the open, so you're going to have to be very careful and think about your turns with him. So he'll reward good play because he's got a very high potential in terms of what he can do. But on the other hand, I think if you misplay him slightly, you can get punished really hard by a good opponent. So that's my thoughts on those models. As I said, £16 for Batman. Unfortunately, you're not going to get these cards anymore, I don't believe. I think that these were just with the first release, so sorry about that. But if you did buy the starter box, then you will already have those cards, so that's not too bad. Yeah. What do you guys think about the year one models? Do you think they should do more? Because they haven't done any more recently, and I'm kind of sad about that. Obviously, they have the Legends of the Dark Knight sort of collection, which is about the silly henchmen. But I'd like to see more sort of versions of Batman stuff from, the older graphic novels. There is a comic by, I think it's Brian Azzarello, called Joker, and I would love to see a Joker release based on that. I'd love to see a Joker month based on the Brian Azzarello kind of gang. Alternatively, I'd love to see a Batman 1989 with Jack Nicholson there, with Bob, the #1 guy. I'd love to see that guy reflected in Batman minis. So yeah, like year one sort of got me in hope of maybe like a Long Halloween, especially for the new animated movie that just came out. But unfortunately, they never sort of came up with anything else. But maybe we'll see in future. We've just had Penguin there, so maybe we'll see some new alternative stuff coming out soon. I can't wait for that. I hope it happens. And yeah, I hope you join me for the next video. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please do give us a thumbs up, just because it helps us with the YouTube algorithm. And if you do enjoy Batman miniature game content or any miniature game content with wargaming and battle reports, as well as analysis of the crews and things like that, just give us a subscribe there, and you'll be able to see when we have new content coming out. We have it out every week, basically every couple of days. It feels like there's a new video coming out. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I will catch you next time. Bye bye.